Welcome to India Calling. Today's guest bridges two very different worlds. She spent over 20 years in NHS addiction services before completely pivoting into an Ayurvedic practitioner and a yoga therapist. She has led people, come out of addiction for so many years, and she has also put together her insights into a book. She's the author of Sattvic Soul, and she also leads a lot of immersion retreats in India. We welcome Virginia Compton to our show today. Virginia, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm thrilled to be here.
Superb. If you can quickly share for our audience about yourself, and then I will start with my list of questions.
Yeah, so I'm based in the UK, in the south, far south of the UK. As you said, I worked in the NHS in our health service here for 27 years, mostly in addiction services. And then I began to practice yoga and then Ayurveda. And then now, since 2016, I've been doing it. So 10 years this year, I've been doing that full time. And I do still teach yoga, but it's mostly the Ayurveda practice that I work with now. So yeah, and I work here locally in a clinic. And then I also bring people to India for retreats.
Very nice. You've seen the extremes of, human suffering in terms of addiction. Was there a specific moment you realized that Western medical model wasn't enough and you had to include the Eastern methodologies, Ayurveda, you were looking for answers in Ayurveda? How did that
That's
happen?
a good question. So yeah, I worked for many years in the NHS and very much here within the health service, the model is prescribing. So for opiate addiction, for example, they'll prescribe an opiate substitute and so on. And if not, then they'll prescribe antidepressants and this kind of thing. And people have appointments, but it's very short. So once a week, once a fortnight, sometimes even less, for just 30 to 60 minutes at a time, which isn't really going to work. And then probably it took some years because I was quite young and enthusiastic and idealistic. And then I began to slowly see over the years that what we were doing in the health service wasn't really working. Occasionally somebody would get better, but it would usually be something that they'd done themselves, not what we were doing to help them. So I felt like we were enabling people to continue their addiction and holding them in that space. And then one of our managers was quite forward thinking, and he sent myself and a colleague on a course for mindfulness for addiction, which is a course is meditation based. And a lot of the clients really enjoyed and benefited from that. And naturally, people ask about alternative to prescribing anyway. Not everybody wants to be on prescribed medicines long term. And then when I began to delve more into yoga therapy and Ayurveda, and people, you want to use that to change behaviour in some way, not necessarily an addiction to drugs or substances, but some sort of lifestyle change. I could see the behaviour was the same. The process of wanting to change and of needing to change to feel better about yourself and to feel better in your body and your mind and your spirit is the same. People knew what I was doing outside of work. So they started to ask me more and more. And we started to sort of introduce more and more. But the health service is such that you can't bring too much in because it's strict with policies and procedures and things. So eventually that's when I left to do this full time.
For the sake of the listeners, who think Ayurveda is just food, how do you explain it for someone who is new to Ayurveda? They have heard a lot of good things about Ayurveda. How do you ask them to explore the path of Ayurveda?
So it's a complete system. So if you're practicing Ayurveda, you don't need to practice anything else. You don't need to go for any other kind of system or treatments or anything like that. Everything is within Ayurveda. We always begin with looking at food and the daily routine. And then we look at what's happening in the body, especially as we age, any symptoms of ill health that are coming up or symptoms of imbalance. We treat the imbalance rather than the symptoms. So if we go to the root cause of what's going on and we work with the root cause, which then helps to resolve the symptoms. Obviously, if there's a more extensive established disease, then it requires a different and longer term treatment. And we look at the food routine. There's body treatments and massage involved, cleansing and herbs. So it's a lot of commitment for people. And often we're challenging people, saying you should go to bed earlier or you should eat this at this time of day. And they don't want to because it's not what they're used to doing. So it can be really challenging for people. That's where the behaviour change comes in again. To practice Ayurveda fully, you need to be really committed. And for it to work properly, you need to practice it fully. So you need to be really prepared to make big changes, I think.
You have dedicated your life to Ayurveda and sharing Ayurveda with the world now. How did this happen? Like, there should be a lot of motivational triggers, right?
Yeah.
Like, could you share some of those experiences that made you ground yourself in Ayurveda?
Yeah, so I was doing my yoga teacher training, which I didn't intend training to be a yoga teacher. I went just to do a foundation course to learn more and then ended up doing my teacher training. And within that, they had a small module on Ayurveda. And at that time, so I was in my early 30s, it's about 20 years ago, I kept getting chest infections in the cold weather, like the cold weather we've got here in the UK now.
Mm-hmm.
Every year, about November time, I would get a chest infection. And I was going to the GP for conventional medicine. And then on about the third year, I said to the GP, to the doctor, this is seasonal. When the change of season comes, I get this problem. And they said, no, it's not seasonal. And I said, it is. It's the same time every year. And it's when the climate goes cold and damp. There's something going on.
Yeah.
So my yoga teacher said, try making these changes to your diet and see if it helps. So I cut out all mucus forming foods and everything. And straight away it worked. Oh, this is interesting. So I started to work more with food and looking at diet and that kind of thing. And then I came to India actually for the first time in 2011. I was in Kerala at Christmas at a resort and I had my first Ayurvedic massage, an Abhyanga oil massage. And I was like, wow, what was that? And I was like, oh, it's that Ayurveda thing again. This is interesting. So then I wanted to learn more. And then I came back to the UK and found a woman here that was doing training and did my first Ayurvedic training with her. So it was through my own health issues. And even now, I manage, if people are close to me, I'll make suggestions to them. And I manage my own health with Ayurveda all the time.
I mean, once it comes into your being, your way of life is completely shifted. Yeah,
Exactly.
you're more aligned to the cosmic rhythms.
Totally.
You're more aware of the moon cycles, sun cycles.
Yeah. And now, I won't eat any food that's grown locally, that's not seasonal. So in the UK, we import a lot of food from all over the world. I won't eat any of that. It all has to be seasonal and local, and because that's what my body needs. So I've become much stricter as the years have gone on.
In fact, I was telling someone the other day, in India, during this time of the year, we don't find mangoes. But, in Goa, I see mangoes and I was not even aware that, like mangoes happen during the season, because I've always had mangoes, only during that April, May, June season. Right?
Yeah, and I've been in India
like May,
and asked
June,
for mangoes and been told no, you can't have them. Sometimes in March, green mango, but yeah,
true. So, you were at a crossroad at age 40, baby versus backpack, and you chose the backpack route. Was there a specific calling to India, or was it just a desire?
I think partly because of the yoga. I had always wanted to travel, and I hadn't been in a position to travel until then, kind of financially and work-wise and everything. Also, I was 40, so it was a woman. I was kind of obviously getting older. I don't have any children. So I reached that point, and my partner at the time and I had a discussion, and I said, very much, I want to go to India, and he wanted to go to India too. So we made that decision to just go and see what that was about. Why did we want to go there? What did it have for us? And what was it all about? And that was it. I've never looked back. I've been back almost every year since.
And which year was this? This was 2011.
That was 2011. So that was 15 years ago. Yeah.
15 years. I mean, that leads me to the next question. What is the first physical reaction to, the sensory explosion that you have in India the moment you land? Like, what was that?
So I think we must have flown in. I can't remember. We must have flown in and changed flights, and we went to Bangalore because we just stuck a pin in the map because we were just like, where do we go? So we stuck a pin in the Bangalore. So, okay, we'll go to Bangalore, and we arrived at night. So it was like 10, 11 o'clock at night, something like that. And we got a taxi from the airport. It's full on, isn't it? It's like full power. And I remember my partner, we were driving down a road and the roads were rough and lots of lorries coming past, lots of construction going on, people and animals and everything everywhere. We didn't have a hotel, but we had somewhere in mind. So we were going to this place. And I remember my partner was really kind of like, oh my God, what have we done? And he felt responsible for me. And I was just like, you have to let go. You can't control this. You're going to have to go with the flow here. It's totally fine. Just trust it. Just trust that it's going to be okay. And then, we went to sleep and everything. And the next morning got up and explored it. It was fine. But that initial was like, what on earth is going on? Yeah.
And I think the video just got to a point. So, cool. So 15 years coming to India, where all have you been in India?
So that first time we went to Bangalore, and then I think we went to Mysore, then up to Ooty on the bus, and then down to Kerala, and then from Kerala to Goa through Mumbai, which we were just there for one night, and then Mumbai to Varanasi. So that first time we did that kind of And then since then, I've been to lots of those places again. I go to Varanasi every time I come, and every time
Wow.
I'm so
Wow.
blessed to keep going back there. It keeps
Wow.
welcoming me back in various
Wow.
ways. So I don't even know how many times I've been now. I've lost count.
Wow.
Yeah. And then,
It's such a blessing. It's such a blessing.
in,
And for Varanasi, it is always, right?
oh,
Like, somehow, if you get pulled to that place,
yes,
and it's like, almost like a vortex, that's how you
it is
get pulled there.
definitely. Yeah, I can't not go. This last time that we went, I was like, let's not plan to go there. Let's just leave it and see what happens. And then my partner said, I want to do a long train journey. I was like, well, we could go to Varanasi. So we went there for 8 nights. Yeah, we went there for 1 week. But every time we go, it's like, yeah, I love it. So since then, I've been all the way to like south in Kerala, down the coast through Varkala and Kovalam to Kanyakumari, and then up into the hills
Wow.
of Kerala as well, up into the Ghats. And then also last year, I went to North Kerala to Wayanad, which is so beautiful
Wow.
and not often visited.
Yeah, yeah.
And then over to Tamil Nadu, to Pondicherry, Auroville, and then just recently Trichy, and then more, and then Varanasi. So I've not been up north that much. It's mostly in the south. Next
Okay.
year, with a friend, I'm
Okay.
planning to go to Rajasthan, which I've not been to yet. I'm really looking forward to that.
Very
Really
nice.
looking forward to it. Oh, and I've
I think
been to Dharamshala as well, and McLeod Ganj, and Amrit.
you've been there or you're
I've
planning
been,
to go?
yeah, a couple of times.
Oh, wow. Okay. Nice. Very nice. Like, now that you've explored like Himalayas, Varanasi, which is central, and then further south, like, how would you explain India to a traveler who's not Indian?
Yeah, it depends. So people will say, might say to me, where should I go? And I'll say, it depends on what you are looking for, because everywhere is, as you know, everywhere is so different. You turn up, it's like a different place each time, even
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
different. If it's first visit, I always say Kerala is really gentle. It's a gentle place to be. It's more relaxed. It's easy place to be. But if you're looking for full on spirituality and you're kind of quite brave, then you could go to Varanasi. That's why we started
Yeah.
taking groups, because it's a nice way for people to come, especially for the first time,
Yeah.
and explore without feeling any
Yeah.
pressure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I always say the people in India are more connected. And a friend that we stayed with this last time, he said there's a kind of, even if you don't know somebody, you might stop in the street to ask somebody directions or something. There's a natural affection between people, which you don't get in the West. So it's very beautiful. Yeah.
I thought the West had, more gentle smiles and exchanges on the streets, which we don't do. How do you see that?
Yeah, I think my experience is the opposite. Although where we live, it's very gentle and it's beautiful. But in the big cities, quite
Got it.
often in the West, I find it quite harsh. People are there with their headphones on and sunglasses. They don't communicate with anybody. Yeah, I find
Got it.
in India, people are naturally more chatty and friendly.
How would you explain Varanasi to a Western
Yeah,
traveler?
that's a good question. My partner's here. He's laughing. He's like, oh, good question. So I remember the first time we went to Varanasi. So we went all over India, saw lots of different things. And then we got the train from Mumbai to Varanasi. And we didn't fly anywhere that time. We went everywhere on bus and train to Varanasi. And we'd seen lots by this kind of time. We thought we'd seen everything. We got off the train at Varanasi. We were like, oh my God, what is going on? Because it just appears to be crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not really. There's a kind of cosmic order in the craziness, absolutely. And it's I think it's just real. It's real life. And everything that we tend to hide is there in front of you. And I think there's a real beauty in that, in not hiding anything and in honouring every aspect of life and death and all the cyclical things that are in between and the ritual and the ceremony and the temples. And it's just beautiful. I absolutely love it. And I'm not a person that likes cities and lots of busyness. I like to be quiet and in nature, but I can't leave Varanasi alone. I have to keep going back. It's magnetic.
I mean, it's beautiful to, I'm literally out of words because we are talking Varanasi and the level of intensity that you have built with Varanasi, like for me, it's like, I envy that, that you've spent so much time in Varanasi, you know, magical. So, like we always keep hearing in our history books, back then, uh, the entire world came to Varanasi, to exchange, to learn, uh, Indian spirituality, and different forms, be it astronomy, astrology, all this research was happening in Varanasi. But um, tell me why, any Western traveler or people from outside of India should come to India, in today's context. What does one get by coming to India, according to you?
I think there's a lot of people in the West practicing yoga, and that's presented in lots of different ways. It's become a bit of a gimmick and a bit of a brand, and it's important to go back to the source and figure out what that's actually about. What is the yoga practice all about? And the same with Ayurveda. It's becoming the same. People, using herbs in food and all sorts of things that they shouldn't be doing with Ayurvedic herbs and practices. And it's about returning to the source to see what that practice that you're doing is all about and where it comes from, but also to really live and embody the philosophy behind it and that approach and that view of life, which is so different to how we live and operate in the West. And so it can be difficult. That's why I think lots of people come to India and they don't like it and they leave. They say, oh God, I'm never going back there again, because it's so different to how we view things in the West. And so you'll either come to India and you'll think, wow, this is just perfect. This is what I thought it was all about, or you won't be able to deal with it. But to connect with that, especially if you're practicing yoga and Ayurveda, is really essential. But it's always important in any kind of travel anywhere to get a different view from a different culture and a different way of life, and to spend time there. So it's not just a holiday. You don't just go for 2 weeks and then come home. You spend time and really kind of embed yourself. So I've done a few trips that have been 4 or 5 months long, just to really be there. And then you really begin to get beneath the skin of the place and understand it more, which I think is essential, especially if you're taking other people then as well. Yeah.
How important are, what is the level of connects that you have had with masters of India? How would you how was your experience there? Did you get to meet any of them?
Yeah, so I've kind of
Because that's one taboo area.
Yeah, I've been to a couple of well-known ashrams, and so I went to the Amma ashram in Kerala. I was so lucky.
Yeah.
It was very funny. So I came on a train overnight from Tamil Nadu and then I thought, oh, I'll get the boat, because I'd been past the ashram on the boat a few times. So I'll get the boat to the ashram. I had this romantic thing in my head of arriving on the boat. And I got there and there was a transport strike. So there were no boats. And then I couldn't get a taxi either, no taxis. And then I managed to find a tuk-tuk driver to take me to the ashram. It took 2 hours by tuk-tuk to get to the ashram. Wow, it was hilarious. And then when I got there, because there was a transport strike, there was hardly anybody there. So it was very quiet, which, as you know, normally it's very busy there. I was there for 4 or 5 days, and Amma was there, and she was doing all the darshan in the Kali temple, the smaller building, not in the big normal hall, because there were so few people. And so I got darshan with her 3 times. It was incredible.
Wow.
And she gave me a mantra. Nice. Yeah, so it was wonderful. And the ashram itself was very simple, but I absolutely loved it. It felt very authentic and genuine. And then I've been to another ashram just to stay. I think we stayed only for 1 or 2 nights, a more well-known ashram that I won't sort of mention the name. And I didn't like it. It was very flashy, very branded. There was shops selling lots of designer clothes and stuff, big statues. And you didn't even get to see the main kind of guru or teacher at all. And I thought, Amma is there, and that's very simple, and it feels very authentic. The big kind of thing, selling the T-shirts and the nice trousers and the books and everything. I didn't like that at all. So I think everywhere is different. You can have this picture of an ashram in your mind and go there, and everywhere is completely different. And then Ayurveda-wise, I went to a well-known Ayurveda retreat a couple of years ago to do a Panchakarma for myself for a month. And the doctors there were excellent and very accessible. So they had lots of satsang, lots of sort of question and answer sessions where you could ask them things. And that was absolutely excellent. So to be able to access people like that, especially from an Ayurvedic perspective for myself, and to have that experience, being able to have a conversation and just approach and mingle with people like that on a daily basis is absolutely fantastic. I find it really accessible. Yeah.
Great.
And no, you're not going to get that anywhere else.
Can you share? That is true. Like I had that as a question. The follow-up question that I had was, why not Bali and why India? And you pretty much summed it up.
Yeah. I haven't been to Bali, but we're going to Bali actually in April.
Okay. Very nice. Yeah, Bali is a lot more nature. I hear, a lot more pristine nature.
But you can get nature in India. You can get anything that you need there. It's all there, isn't it? It's like Ayurveda. It's a complete package.
Could you share some of the experiences that your students have had with exposure to Ayurveda, and what age group of people, typically 50 and above, your body starts acting differently. And Could you share some of the best cases that you've had with Ayurveda where people have been able to
Yeah.
transform their
Yeah.
lifestyle?
So,
Yeah.
yeah, like you say, typically 50 and above, I think people become more interested in their health and how they're going to maintain their health as they get older. So I host Panchakarma cleanses with people 1-to-1 in a local place here. They come and stay for 10 days or 2 weeks when we go through the Panchakarma process. So that's always really transformative for people. And then I'd also do regular cleanses every spring and autumn. So an online thing with a WhatsApp group, and send them all the information and guidance, support them through it. And people have had huge results from that, of kind of shifting symptoms of illness, because the whole approach is about rebalancing, isn't it? So it's about rebalancing so that we don't have that imbalance. When we haven't got the imbalance, we don't have the symptoms. So people have had chest conditions resolved by changing their diet. Of the big things, especially here, is sleeplessness. People have trouble sleeping, and just changing their bedtime and time that they get up in the morning has a huge effect. And you wouldn't think that something so simple would change it. Sometimes it's so simple that people don't do it because they don't believe it. Don't believe it's going to work.
Yeah. Yeah.
So people changing their
Yeah. Yeah.
routines, changing their diet. Lots of people with anxiety related digestive problems like IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, where they have lots of bloating and gas. So educating people about their diet so that they can eat better, so that they don't have those digestive problems anymore. But also the underlying thing, which is massive, of Vata disturbance. So people being anxious and ungrounded all the time. So not just using the Ayurveda, but also yoga practices to help manage that anxiety, settle everything back down again.
Like, how, I mean, I'm just curious about this. You're probably the best person to ask this as well, which is how much of this is very cyclic in nature? Like, for example, you mentioned gas, bloating in the stomach. I've noticed that around October, November, when we move towards
Yeah.
winter, there is a difference. And exactly the same way, around March, April, the body starts at different as we go into summer.
Yes.
So could you share some of these cyclic things
Yeah.
that you have noticed?
So there's a cycle in nature with the seasons, slightly different in India, but still the same principle. So in the winter, colder, damper kind of conditions. And then in the spring, a little bit warmer. And then obviously as summer comes, more heat. And then in the body, we have all these same elements. So we have the 5 elements of earth, water, fire, air, and ether in different amounts. So we're all slightly different. So if you've got a large amount, so for example, I had a large amount of earth and water, so quite a damp constitution. So every year when the damp weather came, the damp in my body would increase, because what's going on the outside in nature, because we're part of it, is reflected inside. I think we've forgotten that we're part of nature. So like today here, it's freezing cold and damp. So now we need to be careful and not have too many foods that are going to make us feel cold and damp, because it will make it worse. So we might making sure that everything's warm and sort of heating for the body in the cold weather to counteract it. But then when summer comes and it's hot, then we want to have cooling foods to rebalance ourselves. So as humans, we particularly like to have a definitive answer. I think we like to be told, oh, you're this is what you have to do. But it doesn't work like that, because we're constantly changing. Nature is in a cycle. And then we've also got the cycle of day and night. And then we've got the cycle of our bodies and the cycle of the moon every month. So everything is constantly cycling around and circling.
And once you start practicing Ayurveda, how important is being aware? Like, what is awareness to you from an Ayurveda context?
So I think the food mostly, and it's difficult to change the food, especially if you're living with somebody or if you're going out with friends or something like that. It can be really tricky. But it's the main thing to change, apart from your routine. So it's routine first and then food, but pretty much at the same time you change the routine and the food. And people think you're a bit mad at first. They think you're crazy. Like, why are you doing these things? And then they start to see how healthy you are. And then they understand why you're doing it. They still might not do it themselves. They understand why you're doing it. So it's about the times of food. So breakfast in the morning, lunch between about 12 and 2 at lunchtime as the main meal, and then supper in the evening, but not too late. So not really after 6 o'clock if possible. So most places people eat late. So 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the evening, that kind of thing. So it can be really challenging. And if you're going out with friends for a meal or something like that, they always book the table for 8 o'clock in the evening. So then you have to make changes. So, for example, now, if I want to go out in the evening and people are going out to eat, I'll eat at home and then I'll go out and I'll see them, but I won't eat late in the evening. But it's been a gradual process. So it's taken many years to get to this point. But I think the main thing to be aware of is what you're eating and when you're eating. And it's all about the digestion. It's all about making sure that you've got a good, strong, healthy agni or digestive fire.
There's a lot of fear mongering about women traveling alone in India. What is the reality and what's the myth?
I think you could walk down the street in England and you could be attacked here. It's the same all over the world, isn't it? And actually, I had somebody do an interview with me recently and asked me the exact same thing. And I've been to India with my partner and I've been on my own many times as well. And I always say, you know, it's as safe or not safe as anywhere else in the world. And it depends where you go. If you're not sure, I've always got a rule. If I'm traveling on my own anywhere, then if I'm going somewhere that I don't know, that I haven't been before, I arrive in the daytime. So I arrive by 2:00 at the latest. And then if it doesn't feel okay, then I'm not afraid to leave and go somewhere else. But I would do that wherever I was. Yeah, I don't think it's particularly risky or more risky than anywhere else. It can feel complicated because the transport system and how to get around and what to do and that kind of thing. So that can make people feel more anxious. I think it's really safe as long as you know where you're going and what you're doing. And you don't have to be rigid with that plan. You just need to be sensible.
If I have to give you like a minute or two to be on national UK television, to convince people in the UK to come and visit India, especially people who are in their 30s and above, what would you tell them?
I think if you want to open your eyes to life as it really is and to things that are important and to a different culture that you can embrace and bring back for yourself and integrate that within your own life, to different foods and to looking at completely different, even south to north, east to west, different kind of ways of being, different religions, different ways of practicing spirituality, and a different approach to health, not just physical health, but mental, emotional health, then yeah, absolutely. And if you want to really have a full-on sensory experience, if that's your thing, then definitely. Or, you know, as we know, there are lots of peaceful, quiet places in India as well. We went on a retreat recently for 1 week up in the hills in Kerala. So beautiful and so peaceful. So India isn't just about the big cities and stuff that you see on TV. It's also got really quiet places. When we travelled through on the train this year, we hardly saw any towns. It was all open farmland. So go and explore. And there's more to India than the big cities.
Very nice. Thank you so much on that. I know recently you traveled to South India, Trichy, Tamil Nadu. Tell us more about your learnings from Tamil Nadu as a state.
So I'd been to Tamil Nadu a little bit years ago. I'd been to Pondicherry and Auroville, but I think that's all. Yeah, that's the only places I visited. So this year we went, and my partner here has got a friend who's a biodynamic farmer. So we visited biodynamic farms and spent time with them, looking at what they were doing. And I know that Tamil Nadu is a big farming area anyway. So it was wonderful to get involved and see that, again, away from the cities, the more rural village life, and very beautiful the way that things are done, very inspiring to see that's practiced. And biodynamic farming, I know, is really big in India, and that's really been taken on, I think, because there's such an affinity with the astrology and all that kind of thing that's already practiced. And then we went, so I was reading a book, and this place called Swami Malai was mentioned in this book. And we were looking at going to Trivamanilai. And I know that lots of people go there, and I'm not really into going where everybody goes. I want to go somewhere else. I was like, look at this place. And it's not far from where we are. It's only a couple of hours. Shall we go there for a few days? Oh my goodness. It was wonderful. It was so quiet. We didn't see any other Westerners the whole time we were there. The Airbnb we stayed at, the host was fantastic. And we visited lots of UNESCO temples. And we didn't go particularly early in the morning. Nobody there. It was so peaceful, so quiet and beautiful, apart from the main temple in the local town, which was a pilgrimage site. So it was super busy. But everywhere else we went, it was really quiet, very friendly. Not many people English speaking, didn't matter. We managed to communicate. It was totally okay. And I think that's just learning about, if you see somewhere and you're drawn to it, go and have a look. You know, if you think, oh, what's that about? That might be quite interesting. I think we need to go there. We have this real feeling of, yeah, we need to go there. Just do it. Go and have a look. And that goes with India as a whole, really, isn't it? Because if I hadn't sort of followed that up years ago, I wouldn't have come. I might have done something completely different with my life. But so it's always like go and investigate. So we've seen a different side of Tamil Nadu than you might see if you go to Trivimanilai or to Auroville or to the main cities. We've seen all the farming community and the biodynamics. And then these beautiful, beautiful ancient temples with nobody else around. It was incredible. Yeah.
Very nice. You mentioned Tiruvannamalai. Can you share some?
I haven't been there. I had a
You haven't
friend
been there?
years ago that went
Okay.
there and then never left. Went
Okay.
and then I'm staying here, but I still haven't been. So maybe next time.
Yeah. It's quite a space, spiritually extremely charged, and attracting audience from across the globe now. Yeah, it's a must visit if you're coming to Tamil Nadu. Where do you feel most called to return right now? Like which part of India are calling you right now?
Always torn between Kerala because of the Ayurveda, especially in Kerala, is wonderful, and Varanasi. But when I was in Varanasi just a couple of weeks ago, I said, if I had to choose and there was only one place that I could visit ever again, it would be Varanasi.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's all you need.
Yeah, that's all I need. So, yeah, I couldn't imagine not going there again. And I know I'm really so blessed to go there so many times. And to spend so much time there. It's absolutely wonderful.
What would you suggest people who are worried about what to eat in India? Will I get enough food for me?
Oh, my God. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's food everywhere. People are always wanting to feed you. Oh my God, just eat so much. It's just ridiculous. I would say I don't eat meat or fish anyway. So I say if you're worried, don't eat the meat or the fish. Stick to vegetarian diet. You'll pretty much be fine. There's only once that I was staying in a place and they gave us some rice. This is years ago. They gave us some rice and it just didn't smell good. And I was like, I don't think I'm going to eat that. So if you feel that, don't be polite and eat it. If you don't feel it's right, don't eat it. But I would say avoid, be vegetarian. Such good vegetarian food everywhere in India. You don't need to eat the meat or the fish. And there is lots of food. Everybody wants to feed you the whole time. You won't go hungry. People think they're going to lose weight when they come, and it's quite the opposite.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that not much is imported, is it? So all the food is fresh, local, seasonal, including the rice, which is absolutely fantastic. Yeah.
How has your definition of spiritual travel changed from your first ever trip to India to now?
That's a good question.
Seeking versus being, that's the tag I had for it.
I think when we first came, we just wanted to see as much as possible, not realizing how much there was to see. And it was spiritual because I was practicing yoga and a little bit of Ayurveda at that time, but that wasn't the focus. Now, and we went to lots of places. We traveled around a lot, like 2-3 days each place kind of thing. Now I like to come find somewhere and stay there for a week, maybe longer in each place. And the focus is spiritual. So I'm like, if I'm going somewhere, I want to know there's a temple that I can visit while I'm there. And that's part of why I come, because there's no temples near us at all. We're completely kind of away from, there are temples in the UK, but not many. And there's none here at all where I am. So that's part of it, is that I can get up each morning and go to temple if I want to, wherever I'm staying. So that's become the focus, which is also why I love Varanasi, because obviously, there's so much there, so much ritual ceremony. So now from when I first came, I was aware of that vaguely. I probably wasn't that confident in asking to have that experience when I first came. And now I'll ask, can I come in? Can I have puja? Can I do this? Can I do that? Yeah, so now that's the reason that I come.
You mentioned Panchakarma a few times. Why is this emotionally heavy and, not just physical? Can you share more details about Panchakarma?
Yeah, so when I offer it, it's always one-to-one. When you go to a Panchakarma retreat, obviously they've got other people there, but it's still one-on-one care. So the Panchakarma experience that I had in Tamil Nadu, actually, near Coimbatore last year, you were in your room. So you ate your meals, etc., in your room. You don't really go out. There are walkways, but they're all covered. So you don't have direct sunlight on you for the whole period of time that you're having treatments. And you spend a lot of time on your own reflecting. So, of course, during that period, then you're having lots of body treatments and massage, and your diet might be different, etc. And you're having herbs for any kind of condition that you've got and that kind of thing. So, of course, that's going to bring stuff up. You're spending a lot of time on your own. Then the mind starts to kind of operate and bring stuff up, often from the past. So then that's difficult for people. And in my experience, often Ayurvedic people aren't that great at the emotional support stuff or at counselling. So it's important to be a little bit resilient and to have some support through that process. If difficult emotions or memories and that kind of thing are coming up, it's important to deal with them because it's not just the physical. So we're cleansing the body of any kind of Amma or toxins, but also with that comes emotional stuff. So the emotions are stored within our body tissues. The memories are in our nervous system. So as we cleanse that system, then memories and emotions will come up.
Who would you recommend a Panchakarma treatment to, and how many days should they start a Panchakarma treatment with?
So everybody should have Panchakarma. Really? I mean, often people come to it when they're already unwell, but have it. I'm not unwell and I've had 2 now. So have it when you're well. It's like an MOT. It's like a maintenance program every couple of years. The first one I had was just 10 days, which is a little bit short. Ideally, it should be at least 3 weeks. 4 weeks is great. It's a big commitment, but then I think it's like your health insurance for the rest of your life.
Wow. I'm really curious. Like, I spent 3 weeks. What happens to me? Because 3 weeks is a lot of commitment for
it is.
anybody. And you are confidently recommending
Yes.
it. And what makes you say that? What do they
So
get?
so if you think your whole lifetime, you've had all of these experiences, you've had different foods, maybe different illnesses, your whole lifetime up to say the age of 40 or something, it doesn't go away in a few days. So if you're going to cleanse your body and remove anything that's toxic in your body and mind, it's not going to go away quickly. So we have lots of massage to oil the body, to flush out the toxins. Toxins then go into the gut. And then it depends on your condition as to what karmas, what cleansing actions you have. So we work to get the toxins out of the body and into the gut so that we can then eliminate them via the gut through various means of either vomiting or enema or whatever. And then there's a rejuvenation part as well. So there's a lot of cleansing goes on and specific foods. And then the last part, so the last third, so say it was 3 weeks, the last week is all rejuvenating you. So you don't just cleanse and then leave. You do all the cleansing, then you spend a whole week eating different foods, building your strength back up and getting yourself ready to go back out into the world. So it's a complete process. And then following that, go home, there might be herbs and things like that to take.
So is it fair to say you don't go to Panchakarma to lose weight, but you go there to holistically, reset yourself and
So some people might lose weight. Some people, if they're really nervous or anxious, then they might just need rejuvenating. They might just need to rest and settle and really gently eliminate the toxins, but nothing too drastic. So often we're taught that we have to have these 5 things happen. So it's pancha, which is 5 karmas, actions, but it depends because all of these things are a big deal for the body. So you might not have all 5. You might only have 1 or 2, depending on what your condition is.
And based on your years of experience, what are some of the simple, or even complex diseases which are like, so simple to cure in Ayurveda, like no questions asked at all, these are like simple things that can easily be fixed. People suffer so much with these simple issues as well, for extended periods of time. Could you share some of those?
So what we mentioned earlier, the gas and bloating, the like irritable gut kind of symptoms, that kind of thing can be fixed with diet and routine quite easily. And then a classic one is low back pain. So many people have back pain and they think it can't be fixed. It's so simple to fix it. So simple with like body treatments and then looking at what the cause of that back pain is and treating the cause. And then chest symptoms, so chest infections, excess mucus, sinusitis, that kind of thing that people are constantly complaining of, sinus headaches, migraine, all these things that people have all the time. Quite easily fixed. It requires a lot of effort from the person. So Ayurveda is that, of course, we tell people what to do and explain it, but they have to do it. It's up to them.
Understood. Yeah, that's pretty much my question list. Thank you so much for giving us your time today and sharing your insights and your experience with our audience. If you could also share how people can contact you and when is your next retreat happening? Have you planned it? If you can share that.
So I've got a website. It's virginiacompton.com and we've got a retreat here in the UK at the end of March, which is for 5 nights, which is an Ayurvedic retreat. It'll be Ayurvedic food and treatments and then workshops. And then in India, we're going to be in March 2027. So excitingly, because I've only taken group to Kerala before, we're taking one group to Varanasi for. I know.
Wow. Very
I've got a
nice.
friend there that leads the group, so she's helping me. And we're going to go to Calcutta
Very nice.
first, then Varanasi, and then we're going to Khajuraho, which I think you probably know of Khajuraho.
Yeah,
So we're going to
Khajuraho.
that the
Yeah, of
first
course.
trip, which is 10 days, and then we've got a 2-week Ayurveda retreat in Kerala from the 15th of March. So, and if people want to do
Very
both,
nice.
they get a little discount if they do both trips for the whole month.
Super. Beautiful. Thank you so much. That's very useful. Like we could also do something like a Varkala pickup and do Kanyakumari. Around
Yeah,
Kanyakumari, there are
nice.
beautiful things to do, like Marutwal Malai, the
Yeah.
hill. You heard of the Marutwal
No.
Malai, yeah, the hill? So that's the last hill of India. It's called Marundu Wal
Wow.
Malai, meaning medicine living
What?
mountain. And so that's they say that's part of the Sanjeevani hill the Hanuman carries in his hand.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so they say it's that mountain, and it's the last hill of India. So hiking up, you will be able to see the V of India. And a lot of people from across Kerala, especially Ayurvedic practitioners, they come there to take herbs and medicines.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So it's quite a beautiful place. So around Kanyakumari, we have a lot of nature as well.
You
Thank
think?
you, lovely. I'm heading to Hampi. I'm heading to
Oh, I've
Hampi
never been
tomorrow.
to Hampi. Unbelievable.
Me too. I've crossed Hampi twice, and like this time I didn't want to miss because I'm heading to Mantralaya, Sri
Right.
Raghavendra Swami. Yeah, on the way I'm going to Hampi as well, and yeah, a few more days in Hampi. Yeah, lovely. Convey my regards to Paul as well. Thank you so much for the help, Paul.